Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that bewitching hour has come upon us once again.
Good or bad, we're back.
We're bad, and we're back. My friend Dwayne Weiss has joined me this afternoon to lend his particular talents to some of these problems. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what the fella has to say. So we're going to just jump right into this. Dwayne?
Well, I see you got the one right out there. That's one of my favorite subjects. Want to introduce it?
Faneuil Hall is quite a bit of a conundrum today.
Certainly is.
It seems that Peter Faneuil was a slave owner. And we have Faneuil Hall in downtown Boston, a very, very historic building. And now people are upset.
A few people.
A few people are upset.
Not many, I'm going to put it that way.
So what the devil are we going to do about this? Are we going to erase the name of everybody that has some connection to slavery, that has a building or whatever named after them? Or
there's a small group out there that I think if they had the druthers, they'd do it.
Yeah. But I agree.
Realistically, it's stupid and it's impossible. First of all, slavery in those days was just an accepted way it was. And a lot of Boston people, I know you liberal Boston, you would have never done anything like that. That's baloney. You didn't have any field slaves, but most of them had any money, had house slaves. They had 1, 2, or 3 type. They had maybe a cook and a housekeeper and a guy that took care of the stables because everybody had horses and carriages in those days. And they were still slaves.
And they had gardeners.
And they had gardens too. But
sure.
And today they want to just cover that up.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to change that, just think that Jefferson had slaves, Washington had slaves. Now, you'd have to change the name of Washington. How many Washingtons are there? There's millions of them.
Absolutely.
Irving Washington, he got to give up his name.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's just that revisionist history is nuts.
It is, and it seems to me it's wrong-headed. You're absolutely right. It took place. But don't you think by leaving it there as it exists and leaving monuments and statues, they're great learning devices.
Oh,
what
absolutely.
if we destroy them?
Somebody said, if we change that name, 20 or 30 years from now, no one will know why we did it.
Absolutely.
And they won't know that Faneuil Hall or Faneuil was a slave owner. It would get called, shopping center or whatever they want to give to it. And that whole idea is gone.
How about this? How about this succession of attorney generals that Hillary Clinton wanted Bill to appoint? 2 of them. Kimber Woods was one, and I forget the name of the other, but both of them had illegal aliens as maids.
That's right.
And they were not paying Social Security for them, or unemployment, or hazardous duty pay.
That's entirely right.
So they were indentured servants by in a different manner. They were brought here illegally, or found their way here illegally, and those 2 women both knew that those women were illegal.
Of course they did.
But they're beautiful people.
Yep.
They're left-wing activists.
All whose oxes being gored.
Yep. You're absolutely right. Absolutely.
Yep.
That saying is a great one. It's so true.
That's right.
I really think that if we continue to tear down the statues and change the names of the buildings, what we're basically doing is covering up the past. It's not a teaching moment. It's a poor way to proceed.
Even that change in the yucky way. Now, that was really stupid.
It was worse than stupid.
It was
evil, and it was false.
Yeah, that's right.
John Henry, I'll tell you what, he told that story about he couldn't sleep at night.
Baloney.
Baloney is right. It was on his mind constantly that Yawkey had not been a progressive on race.
Well, why just stop with the Yawkey? Well, what was the team then? It was the Red Sox. Why not change, if you really have to change Yawkey way, why not change the name of the Red Sox? They were the ones that didn't hire it was the team.
That's right.
So if you got guilt by association, you're associated with the Red Sox, hence discrimination.
Bingo.
So what are you going to call them now?
But, to put John Henry back on the griddle again.
Yep.
That was absolute nonsense.
I agree.
The reason that he brought forth for doing that. And for him to walk around proud as punch that they pulled this off is just absolutely stupid. And I'll tell you what, and Marty Walsh, the governor, the mayor of Boston.
He thinks he's the governor of Boston.
He is right up to his eyeballs involved in this too.
Yeah, he's...
But Marty is cute. I got to look into this issue. He had to wait to see what everybody else was going to say first.
Where's the wind blowing? That's where Marty's going to go.
That's right.
Yeah.
And when Ayanna Pressley and some of the other progressive women that are coming out into the scene here as it is politically, when he found out that they were 100% in favor of this, Marty said, I'm going to need their support next time I run.
I would have thought a mayor would have said, no, we're going to leave our city the way it is.
That's right.
But no, not him.
Well, you see, I think what he said to himself is, I got South Boston. I got Charlestown. I've got the West Roxbury and those areas that are white, Irish. I got the North End, the Italians. They're going to stay with me. What the hell do I need them for? Yeah. Why do I have to throw them a bone? They're going to be with me anyway.
Yeah, they'll thick or thin, they'll be there.
Yeah.
As long as I got the D behind my name.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to have more of this.
Oh, I think we are. That's not the end of it.
This is quite an undertaking here. We'll undertake it here in a moment. But I get a couple of other beauties. FISA documents reveal FBI collusion. Last week saw the release of applications used to obtain warrants from the FISA court to spy on Carter Page, an advisor to the Trump presidential campaign. Obtained by Judicial Watch, the 400-plus pages of heavily redacted documents support the conclusions earlier drawn by the House Intelligence Committee and denounced by Democrats as hysteria. The FISA warrants were obtained through obfuscation and deceit. As various commentators predicted would be proven, the bulk of the information that formed the basis for the FISA warrant applications was the dossier of allegations about Donald Trump's activities in Russia. This dossier was provided to the FBI by British spy Christopher Steele. Steele was hired during the 2016 presidential campaign by opposition research firm Fusion GPS, who was paid by Hillary Clinton's law firm, Perkins Coie, who was paid by the Clinton campaign and the DNC. The allegations were scandalous and completely unverified, in violation of federal statutes and FISA court rules. In other words, the FBI used research paid for by the Democrats as justification for government spying on a political opponent and other Americans. But there's more. This is good. If you've been following,
I got an idea.
This is really good. But there's more. In another incredible coincidence, Fusion GPS had hired scholar and professor Nellie Orr as a paid Russian expert. Now, hold on to your hat here, bud. Nellie Orr happens to be married to Bruce Orr, Deputy Attorney General in the Justice Department.
It just gets scarier and scarier.
Slimier and slimier.
That's a better word, yeah.
Bruce Orr is alleged to have passed his wife's anti-Trump research to the FBI.
Yep.
He was demoted for failing to disclose not only his wife's employment with Fusion GPS, but also his own meetings with Fusion GPS founder Glenn Simpson. The FISA court was never told any of that. They were never supposed to know. None of us was ever supposed to know. Then it goes on to talk about trying to get the documents, and the DNC refused to turn their servers over to the FBI for inspection. And then there is Hillary Clinton's misuse of a personal email server to handle classified State Department information. We now know that then FBI Director James Comey decided not to prosecute Clinton before the investigation was even concluded. We also know FBI Attorney Peter Strzok rewrote Comey's initial report to change Comey's description of Clinton's conduct from grossly negligent, which was a violation of the applicable federal statute, to extreme careless.
Certainly was.
This is the same Peter Strzok who expressed his loathing for Donald Trump in many of the tens of thousands of texts he exchanged with his lover and fellow FBI attorney Lisa Page. Strzok infamously assured Page that they had insurance policy and that they would stop Trump from becoming president. At a congressional hearing 2 weeks ago, Strzok arrogantly insisted that his bias did not affect his job performance.
Oh, of course.
I mean, you believe that, right?
Absolutely, I believe it. I believe that about as much as the Boston Globe had their investigation. One of their, what's his name, Corey?
Yeah.
He was accused by the Me Too group of groping a woman. So they were going to get to the bottom of it. They hired their own investigator. Their own investigator says, "No, nothing here, folks.
Nothing here. Move
nothing
along.
to see. Nothing to see."
That's it.
And the Globe says, "See, we're innocent."
I get a kick out of it, too. There's somebody being investigated now for groping a woman. Tom Riley, former AG, has been appointed to investigate.
Oh, yeah, my
he couldn't
God.
find his butt with both hands.
No, I know.
God. Hillary Clinton, finishing this up, was supposed to win. No one would know the FBI investigation into her violations of federal statutes was a foregone conclusion that would exonerate her. No one would know that members of the FBI and the DOJ were using their government powers to attack and discredit the man who wasn't supposed to win, but he did. Trump's unorthodox presidency has been a great gift. It has exposed the corruption in our government and the betrayal of the American public by so much of the press. Now, that was a long diatribe, but now I'm finally ready to ask you the question. What is your feeling right now about the FBI? You may want to comment on the Justice Department, too, while you're at it.
I've worked with the FBI in the past, and I had great respect for them. I still do, but I think there's some management policies that changed, that got political. Because everything today, particularly when Trump came on the scene, and maybe just before, everything turned political. And prior to that, the FBI was not bent towards politics. What was. If you were a bad guy, they're going to get you. And sometimes they investigated good guys, but they didn't know they were good guys until they were done. And some of this stuff, that happens now. And I think with some of this is that a good investigation group or team will look at every clue or every avenue, and they'll take that avenue down till it ends through a dead end, or it ends to another branch that branches off, or it goes to a conviction. Just because they investigate them doesn't mean that they are trying to pin somebody on something. Right now, the Democrats, they think that as soon as the FBI does something that doesn't agree with them, well, look what he's doing. That's just a good investigation. But I do believe, I think that the leaders today are highly influenced by the politicians.
Now, then that...
I mean the top echelon.
All right, now let me run my theory by you. I think there's an awful lot of people in the FBI who were promoted or given enhanced positions, were placed in the spotlight by Bill Clinton.
Absolutely.
And, the cows have got to come home. When Hillary said, I'm running for president, and Bill said, fellas, you all remember how I took care of you? Yep. I want you to take care of this little lady now. Don't want you to do anything illegal, mind you.
I don't disagree with you there. In fact, I totally agree with that. That's where the politics started creeping in.
Yep. And because, Clinton is a smart guy. I mean, look, there's no question about it.
Yeah, he's a Rhodes Scholar.
Right, exactly right. They don't hand those out, willy-nilly. But he managed to surround himself with evil people.
Yeah, well...
Lanny Davis and the other guy there that was married to Madeline...
I know what you mean. I can't think of
anything. But his chief advisor there. I mean, these guys were champions of the dirty trick brigade. And I think that they probably did worse things than Clinton did. But they were working for Clinton.
Yep.
They were his hired guns. But when you start doing favors for FBI guys, giving them promotions and all, hey, that flow has got to turn around and come back when you need a favor. And that is politics and the FBI, and that should not be happening.
It absolutely shouldn't. It should be swept clean.
I hope that when this is all done, that the president gets himself a large broom and sweeps out that outfit. I don't think you can get it all, but...
Locally, I hope they do the same thing with the state police.
Well, now, you know what? That is another story altogether. But can you... I know... I shouldn't say, can you believe, because you and I have both been around for too long and have seen too much.
That's right.
But to see this stuff being uncovered now...
Yeah, oh my God, it's almost shocking at first. Now, nothing shocks me anymore.
Yeah, you're almost blasé about it. But by the way, and I'll see if I can jump ahead real quick here and find what I want. But, I mean... This breaks your heart. It really does. Because the state police always were placed in this next notch up.
Yep.
Got a murder? Well, we've got to call the state police team in,
or if there was something a little shady with the local police department, the stadies would step in.
That's right, exactly. But here's the judge's daughter Allie Bebo. Now, Allie Bebo was stopped for drug and drunken driving charges, and also allegedly suggested she would offer sexual favors in return for leniency, while she also admitted she performed sexual acts in order to pay for the drugs.
Yep.
Now, so, her dad's a judge.
That's where the problem come in.
And Dad calls the troopers, the big boss of the troopers. He fills it all down, and he said, when it finally got to rock bottom, the two cops that made the arrest clean up that report. Get all this stuff out of there about my daughter.
You know what they said in the military, what stuff rolls downhill. Well, I don't have to see it with the S word, it rolls downhill. And the two guys in the bottom are the guys that get splattered with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In this case, they turned it around and sent the stuff flying back uphill.
That's right.
And how many retirements were they immediate? Let's see.
Two or three right off the bat, within hours.
McKeon retired. Lieutenant Colonel Hughes retired. Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Ristine retired. 3 top guys in the state police.
Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom. Now, how about this judge? Why the hell wasn't he thrown out of there?
That's the problem in this state.
That's right.
We got to get rid of some of these judges that we've
got. Horrible.
They are you're right, they are horrible.
Yeah. I mean, this is absolutely
not just this, it's
reprehensible.
The criminality part of it. You know, it's not even just the politics of it, but my God, some of these guys, they get arrested for murder, and then you find out they got a record that long for over and over and over, and let loose and let loose and let loose.
How many 27 or 29-year-old girls, they stop for drunken driving, drugs, and then they try to make the cop? How many of them are out the door?
Out the door, yep.
Yep. Case closed after she admitted to the facts. Mm-hmm. So she's walked.
She walks.
Yep. Oh, now they placed some tough restrictions on her, though. No alcohol, no drugs, and she has to submit to random screening tests.
Oh, my God.
Also, ordered to complete an inpatient treatment program and enter a sober living facility upon release.
Yep. But you know, nothing came back on the judge.
Nope, nothing.
Oh, nothing.
No, I mean, listen, it was my daughter, and I called just to find out what the heck was going on.
I'm squeaky clean.
Yeah. But you know, all right, this whole thing stinks.
Yep.
But you know what? We get every right in the world, it seems to me, to throw a little stink in the direction of Charlie Baker and Maura Healey.
Oh, my God, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Charlie Baker, as governor, looked around and found a rabbit hole and ran down it.
Yeah. And Maura Healey, as Attorney General, should be on this thing 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
She
doesn't even pay attention.
She said she was launching an investigation and she was going to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, and then next week another scandal shows up and another one shows up. Unauthorized overtime that wasn't worked. Anything, but it goes on and on and on. But yet she is totally non-pulsed by it.
Well, she's busy, you see, campaigning in different states for Democratic candidates.
And for their own political career at some point. Because she's going to run for at least for governor, if not else.
She's kind of blocked right now.
Yeah.
But
we haven't had a real attorney general, for a considerable amount of time now.
You know,
the last two we haven't had. Her
Frank Bellotti.
Bellotti, I don't know about that.
He was a tough guy, but he was so bloody political. He knew every single person in the legislature, and Frank was a guy you turned to when you needed a favor.
Yeah, exactly.
So, well, this next little story here really burns my butt. Graduate valedictorian Lulabelle Seitz was a high school senior with a GPA over 4. I didn't know you could get a GPA over 4.
I guess they give credit for those advanced placement classes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I never took one.
Yeah, I was never
It wasn't.
in that up
don't
there in
think
that
even-
rarefied air.
I don't think they even had them when we were in high school, so it doesn't matter.
She was at Petaluma High School in Washington. She's been accepted at Stanford. You don't get into Stanford easily.
I think it would be one of the top-rated schools in the country.
And she submitted a speech, her speech, to the principal. And
Go ahead. I know where you're going with this. Yep.
4
This is a
minutes
good
into
one.
the speech, they grabbed the mic away from her.
Yep. Pull the plug on it.
Yep. Because she was cut off at the moment she deviated from the speech that she had submitted. She said she was frustrated by what she claimed was a lack of action from the administration on a claim of sexual misconduct. So, then the kids started screaming and yelling and hollering, let her talk, let her talk. And she went on to say that, they had silenced her and all of that. But what bothers me is if she had a valid point about this sexual predator or whatever it is. We don't know because that hasn't come out.
That's right.
Why didn't the high school investigate it? Why wouldn't they investigate it?
Yeah, you'd think that they would in today's atmosphere.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. This is what, California?
She's going to go to school in California, Washington State. Same difference.
It's the same West Coast loonies. Sorry about that, any people that are from the West Coast. But I don't know. And I don't know because, I don't understand today that some of the kids that do get involved in things that they know about it, but they're not involved in it. And they get so involved in it personally. And I guess I never had that kind of passion for stuff that I would.
You know what? But common sense. You might have had the passion for it, but common sense kind of overruled it.
Of course it would.
Yeah. The Petaluma High School administration infringed on my freedom of speech, she said, and prevented a whole graduating class from having their message delivered.
Well, that's not quite. It probably happened, but I think the rules were that she had to submit their manuscript and stick to the manuscript, and she agreed to that.
That's exactly right.
If you agree to it, then do it. If you don't agree to it, say no. I'm not going to do it right then, and then make out a compromise what you're going to do.
That's right. But you know what? 17-year-old kids don't logically think things all the way through. For weeks they have threatened me against speaking against them in my speech. Sometimes we know what's right and have to do it. All right. You know what? I'll go along with what she said.
Yep.
If it's right, like Davy Crockett says, if it's right, do it. But she could have come up with a logical way to do this. Now, she's more or less alleging here, it seems to me, that the administration is the where the sexual predator lives.
Okay.
So, anyway, this is a bad situation, but what are you going to do? But
And you never know from an account like that in a paper what part is real, what part's made up, what parts are left out. Today, the print media, in particular, well, they're notorious for changing the news by omission, simply not telling the rest of the story.
the author is Ellie Rosenberg from the Washington Post.
Okay,
Enough said?
enough said.
All right. You know what I'm going to do?
What's that?
I'm going to agree with the Globe editorial.
I had one a couple of weeks ago. Go ahead. Which one was it?
This is Marjorie Egan, either today or yesterday. This lad came to visit his mother, and he was about set to go back to Florida, and she found him dead downstairs, overdose, heroin, and so the mother is saying she wants people to know the epidemic is everywhere now. It does not discriminate. Good kids die. I can't understand how it got to the point where they are actually people on the street selling drugs that kill and getting away with it. It's like people walking away with guns. Her son Philip fought the addiction for 10 years, had been living in a Florida sober house, doing well, and he was going to fly home that day on the airplane to go back. The mother continues. They say heroin's a monkey on your back. This is a gorilla, 24/7.
Remember that quote.
Always running after the next high, their body screaming for it. As crazy as it sounds, I'd have the Army, the police, the National Guard, everyone patrolling. We talk about wars in other countries. I have a war right outside my front door. I can't understand how we can send a man to the moon but not get to this poison off the streets. Did he know he was dying? I don't know, but I know he didn't want to die. What do you think of what she said, Dwayne? What do you think of her frustration with this whole?
Well, I sympathize with her, obviously. It's a terrible thing to lose a child or lose anybody like that. But again, it's going to go back to our judicial system. You got guys out there that are bringing in fentanyl and heroin and then black tar heroin, cheap stuff out of Mexico in big bunches, knowing full well that this stuff is going to kill you. But yet when they get arrested as a dealer, they get the slap on the wrist and they walk and the next day they're back in the street selling it again. If you want a problem like this to stop, make the damn punishment severe enough that you're going to get somebody's attention. Now, I know that in the Philippines, what was his name? Duarte. You know, he made it open season on these guys. If you shoot them, that's fine with me.
Yeah, remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody went crazy then, you know. Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. Well, maybe you shouldn't just out and shoot them, but damn it, they shouldn't be walking the streets again.
I can't understand how we can send a man to the moon but not get this poison off the streets. Because we don't want to. That's why.
Partly, I think you're right.
We don't want to put the dealers in prison. They are just trying to make a living, support their families. We don't have the backbone, the courage to attack this menace.
We don't.
There's also, and I think this is even bigger, there's too much money involved.
Oh, absolutely. The amount of money in trafficking is unimaginable. The cartels, like from Mexico or South America or Afghanistan, and all the sources of these people, and it's not the guy that's growing the poppies. They've been doing this for centuries, and they're making enough just to scratch a living on it. It's when it gets up into the cartels and gets into the criminal gang element or the organized crime element, that's where the problem money gets so intense that they can't deal with it. They can't get rid of it. They can't launder it fast enough.
And there's too much bribery.
Oh, yeah, everybody's on a payroll then.
Everybody.
Yep.
And it is, we need to wake up.
Yep.
And we need to know that this is an important, in this business about paroling the non-violent drug traffickers.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, this is absolute madness. How many people have these guys killed peddling this damn product?
And you can't say today, there's talk about holding the distributor or the dealer responsible. If I sell somebody black tar heroin and he's on it, or something like fentanyl, which is, just a little bit will kill you.
Oh, yeah.
And today, you can't say, I didn't know that stuff wasn't deadly. They know it's deadly, but they don't give a damn.
No.
They should be held responsible for that death, the same as if they pulled out a gun and shot him.
That's right. Absolutely right. And we have officials looking the other way. We have police looking the other way.
Well, it's not a gun, so it doesn't. It's not sensational.
Right.
It doesn't get them in the newspaper.
Yeah. I mean, I feel this woman's hurt.
Oh, absolutely.
This is a terrible situation.
Yep.
We're not attacking it.
Years and years ago, we've been here 36 years or something like that. Years ago, we lived in Brockton. We moved out before it turned to Brockton, and it used to be a nice old city.
Yes.
And but we had a neighbor, nicest family you ever want to beat. He was a corrections officer down in Plymouth. The missus was the nicest woman you want to see, and the older daughter was our babysitter. And the son was just hell on wheels. He got into every kind of trouble you could think of, and it wasn't the parents' influence. They kept trying to get the authorities to not stop letting him out. And it was once every other week or so, we'd be watching TV or something, and you could see the lights flashing through the window, and the ambulances, the police cars, and the fire trucks were there, because Tommy's ODing again or something, going crazy and smashing the stuff in the house. But the poor family was just beyond themselves, beside themselves.
Yeah.
But do you think that judges, what was that, I forget what county, what is?
Plymouth County?
Yeah, Plymouth.
Yeah.
The Plymouth County, whatever the court was, would let him out over and over and over and over. And his father told me one day, Tommy's not going to live long. He's going to die. And I don't know if he did or not, but I know he died. The father died of natural causes sometime after we moved. But Tommy broke into everybody's house in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if you got broken into. Tommy did it.
Yep.
He was automatically go get Tommy. And the neighbors wouldn't even bother calling the police. They'd just go over to Tommy and say, "Look, I want my stuff back. I'm going to smash your face in." And Tommy would go get it.
One of the great jobs in this state is probation officers, because they don't do anything.
Yeah.
There was this expose some time ago about the logs they filled out. Just fiction.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You think I'm going into that neighborhood and look for this guy?
No, and they have to go to see the probation officer. Rarely does the probation officer go to see them to see what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't do it.
Yeah.
And you know what? The higher-ups say, yeah, you don't want to die. You don't want to get killed.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, these people are crazy. So they give them a pass. And,
yeah.
We're doing the best we can. That's about all they say. And it's got to be a better way than this.
Yeah, things are going to get worse before they get better.
I agree with you.
Because fentanyl is not the end of all ends. I mean, there's going to be something beyond fentanyl yet. Fentanyl is extremely powerful. I had a personal use of fentanyl medically. In the last colonoscopy I had, they used fentanyl for a anesthetic. That's what it was developed for in the first place. And I've had different surgeries and stuff, and fentanyl was the best anesthetic anesthesia I've ever had.
Yeah.
One, it is so fast and it's so quick, and you wake up feeling good. You don't get that druggy, sicky feeling like you've been drugged. from whatever they used to use for anesthesia.
I had etho when I was a kid.
Oh, I did too.
And you woke up and you threw up.
Yeah. But fentanyl doesn't do that, so the druggies get a hold of it. The drug dealers saying, "Oh, this stuff is great." But the thing is, in the hospital or the surgical, they measure it down to the finest.
Well, they've got to, because an overdose of that is...
And it's instantaneous.
Yeah. Wow.
But that won't be the end. Science will come up with another...
Oh, it's...
And then it'll get out in the in the general public, and it's going to get used
And
again.
the beat goes on.
Yep, the beat will go on.
Switching gears. Talk to me about the two summits, North Korea and Russia.
Oh, my God.
We don't have enough time?
I don't know. First of all, don't judge. That's just what I'm saying. Is don't judge what you see in the newspaper or on TV. That is just a dog and pony show. When Trump had the press conference, particularly with Putin, oh, we did this and we did that. They didn't do anything like that. That was just for. They might have actually been swearing at each other and
That was
throwing
for
stuff.
consumption back in Russia and in the
I'm
United
gonna kick
States.
your butt if you don't do this, but they don't. Diplomatically, you don't do that. You
Right.
don't stand in front of the TV cameras and say that you did it. You got to say something. And these people today, they're not idiots. They may seem like idiots, but I would not be surprised that if it is not, something has changed. There are back channels between like the United States and Russia and all the things.
There's got to be.
Remember the old red phone thing?
Sure.
Well, my God, they did that back in the 60s or the late 50s. Well, they certainly do it today.
Of course. No, without a shadow of a doubt.
All this stuff is not negotiated out in front. So,
It can't be.
no.
And these two, be it Trump and Putin or Trump and Kim, look, they can't do it. They can't do the negotiations. I mean, there are so many bloody points and counterpoints that it's going to be a year before anything gets
absolutely.
straightened out.
No, the fact of him going to Russia and sitting down with Putin or Putin coming here, I think that's great. Leaders have to talk.
Absolutely.
Because if they don't talk, you don't know what they're doing. At least you got a chance of getting something done.
Mr. President, I know you pedoed at me, all right? But listen to what I have to say and listen to the box I'm in.
That's right.
Well, okay, Mr. Putin, but look where I am. Mm-hmm. I guess I have a problem here, I got a problem there. You got to help me, all right?
Yeah.
And then, so what it comes down to is, can I do this, and will you save face if I do this? Because if you do that, I'll do this for you, and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. It's one hand washing the other, and that's the name of the game as far as diplomacy is concerned.
And I think the fact that you got Mr. To do something, at least to move off the spot, is a big step in that country.
You're happy with that?
The fact that he started movement?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you know, I'm going to float something by you.
Okay.
So, he's getting looks at the rest of the world. He went to Singapore.
That's right. That's another thing. Go ahead. I know where you're going with that.
Yep.
I agree with that for a long time.
And he got into South Korea.
Yep.
Holy cow.
Look at
This
Look
is
at
what
it.
prosperity is all
Look
about?
at all the cars and the lights and the restaurants and the.
Trump says to him, we were in a war with Vietnam.
Yep. Oh yeah. Look at that.
And now we've picked them up, propped them up, and they are right now the hottest success story in Asia.
Just the other day, again on, I don't know, was it Globe Trekker or one of them travel channels? From Ho Chi Minh City. That was which used to be Saigon. I said, I don't recognize that place. I used to run all over that place. I mean, where the hell? Everybody's got there's no the old rickshaw shit's all gone. Everybody's either got cars or cars jamming the streets or fancy motorcycles. Restaurants galore. Tonsanute Airport used to be a cinder block hole.
Yeah.
With a couple of poles and a lean-to over it. Now it looks 10 times better than Logan. Yeah.
It's and I wouldn't be surprised if Trump said to him, we can make all your problems go away.
Yep.
And without sending him on a guilt trip, without trying to box him into a corner, say, give up your nuclear weapons, knock off this BS, and we will help you economically, and we'll put you back on your feet, or get you up on your feet.
Exactly.
And we'll work out an agreement with South Korea, because they want to work with you too, and you can join the world of human beings.
That's right.
And you know what? I keep thinking to myself, he may be smart enough to have understood this.
I think this one is. I think the grandfather and the father were not marginal.
Yeah.
But you know what? The same thing, I used to say this all years and years ago with Cuba. We locked out Cuba. You can't go to Cuba. Cubans can't come here unless they come here as a refugee. That was the worst thing you could do. You should have opened that up and let the Cubans see what Florida and the United States was like.
Our Cuban policy was so stupid.
You would have had so much discontent with the Cuban citizens.
Absolutely.
That, hell, they'd have probably overthrown their government to start with.
Probably about 2 weekends into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but it's tough. But now, listen, Putin is 10 times smarter than Kim.
Oh, my God, yes.
He's a cunning devil.
Oh, yeah.
So he's going to be tougher to work on.
Yeah, he's smart.
The deal maker knows how to squeeze.
Yep.
And, him selling liquid natural gas into Europe is just a master stroke.
Oh, yeah, because
we don't have enough LNG tankers, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, I know. But he also backdoors Putin when he does that, because Putin has a lot of hold on some of them because they're an exporter of natural gas.
Right. Oh, that's it. I mean, he's eating Putin's lunch.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But it's an interesting chess game.
Yeah, it is.
Now, with all this that's going on in Washington, the District of Columbia has a problem.
District of Columbia has lots of problems.
Too many cats.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Too many cats.
So they're trying to figure out how to control them. But in order to control them, they got to figure out how many are out there, how many are pets.
Yeah, and how many are feral.
And they're going to spend $1.5 million for the next 3 years and go out with camera traps and take pictures of all of these
I
cats.
saw that, and I thought, my God.
Money
just drives people nuts.
All the problems down in Washington, D.C. that we have.
You're worried about a few cats in the street.
It's great.
And they're not attacking people or anything else. They're just there.
I got one more thing here that's really bugging me. The Puerto Rican power grid has not been repaired.
Yeah, you're great.
They have their rebuilding is in chaos, and more than $1 billion in federal funds meant to strengthen the rickety system has gone unspent.
Oh, yeah.
They cannot sit down amongst them and say how they're going to attack this problem. And all of it comes to this.
Sure.
How much am I getting? How much is my brother-in-law getting?
Puerto Rico's been Puerto Rico.
Yep.
For years. They've never got themselves above a certain line of prosperity or efficiency. Don't forget, when they talk about the shaky power grid, That was shaky prior to the hurricane.
There's 9 separate grids.
That's right. And at any given point, Puerto Rico's power system, this is
Yes.
destruction, was only 60%. 40% of the island was still out of power.
Unbelievable. And they have appointed a new director of Water and Sewer Agency. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He named the former head of Puerto Rico's Water and Sewer Agency as the 5th head of the electric company since Maria.
Yeah, we were in the airport.
Yeah.
Going to Aruba. We were changing planes in Puerto Rico. And the airport went black. And they said, 15 minutes, comes back on. They go, oh, there's just, even their generators wouldn't kick in. Nothing worked.
Tell me something. They're a U.S. territory.
Yep.
What if we had said, okay, petty politics to one side. I'm going to send the Army Corps of Engineers down to fix this. We're going to get boots on the ground, and we're going to make this whole thing work. You know what would have been said? No, you're not. We're not having that. We're an independent outfit. We're taking care of this ourselves.
Yep. And if you did that, and you fixed it all up, okay, we got 5 going, and you fixed it all up, and it broke, they wouldn't fix it. They'd sit down and call up and say, hey, come back here. I want you to fix this for me.
Send the Maytag repairman.
Send the Maytag repairman. That's done that all the time.
So the next time somebody really wants to get on your case about we dealt the cards off the bottom of the deck to Puerto Rico, just remember what you heard here.
Yeah, Puerto Rico's always got what? They got 3. You become independent, become a state, or stay as you are. If it was up to me, you'd be independent tomorrow. Goodbye.
Absolutely, but they won't vote for that.
They won't do it.
Man, that's like,
oh my God.
You got the cow, where am I going to give up the milk? Where am I going to
all
get
the
it?
federal programs you're tapping into.
And I think that they have the chance to rifle more money into their own pockets by staying in territory. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, you had something you want to talk about Jim Hand.
Jim Hand. We all know who Jim Hand is locally. Well, he's a editorialist, I guess you'd call him, for the Sun Chronicle.
Feature writer.
I never cared for what he wrote, and once in a while I said, hell must be freezing over, because I actually agreed with him. This one I didn't. This one really kind of made me mad. It was changing the news by omission. He quotes, and it's not even his article, he quotes a quotation about an article that was in the Globe, it came from, I believe, St. Louis through AP. And it was a story, and it mentioned Boston, that the murder rate, the rates that are cleared, solved, was a big disparity between white and black. Whites were, at a white murder rate, there was 90-some% clearance.
Yep.
On a black murder rate, there was only like 40, 41,
yeah,
someplace
below,
way down.
below 50.
Way below half of what the other one was. So right away, the implication was racism. Racism.
Any normal person would expect that.
And Jim Hand, he's right on this thing about this being racist. But what Jim Hand didn't tell you on that article, he got the information probably the same place I did, and later in the article, they start discussing the fact that most murder cases or high crime cases are solved due to witness statements, witnesses. In a white murder case, if there was 10 people out there and they all saw something, 8 of them were going to fill out a statement. In a black murder case, there was 10 cases, 10 people.
Lucky
if one. Most of them would say, I saw nothing. I'm not snitching.
Nope, no snitch.
So, of course, the clearance rate's going to be hugely different.
Yeah.
But Jim Hand elected not to tell you about the lack of cooperation with the police. I said, all you did was imply that it was all racist. But it's not. That's poor journalism. Either he is one of the poorest journalists out there, or he actually trying to change the news. It's either incompetence or it's unethical. I don't know what to
I think it's both.
Okay.
I really do. I mean, I've read some of his stuff that is just hasn't even begun to resemble the truth.
Truth, yeah.
But you know, when you're faced with a murder in the community,
Yep.
and the community refuses to talk
Yes.
and cooperate.
And they're hurting themselves.
And have you ever watched 48 Hours on
Oh, yeah.
A&E?
Yeah.
And what happens? How do they solve these? They get a call,
Yep.
an anonymous
Somebody
call.
drops a dime and they...
That's right.
Yep.
Otherwise, if they don't get that call, they're not going to solve that crime. Or it's just going to be blind luck.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because how many times have they seen them interviewing those people? Oh, I didn't see anything. I don't know. And, no, I don't think I did that. No. But, and that's what bothers me too, is the church leaders in Roxbury.
Yep.
And I know that they're tired of burying their young people. I understand that. But down it all, the community is not being part of the solution. They remain part of the problem.
Part of the problem. That's exactly right.
Yeah. And Eddie's on the street corner peddling drugs, but heck, he's Joe's kid.
Yeah.
So, nobody's going to say anything about that.
Mama doesn't know where Junior is at
Yep.
3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Hasn't seen him for 4 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course things are going to go to hell.
No, things are really,
But next time I want to talk about another esteemed journalist from the
Who's that?
Bill. You probably was it?
Oh, Gavea.
Yeah, he's a major BSer.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And
I'll
he's
let that go
also
to next time.
has quite a deep affinity for the Democratic Party.
Oh my God, yes.
He was on the Board of Selectmen in Norton for a
yep.
while, yeah. So are we down to timeout?
Yeah, just about one. I think they're coming up. Yeah, she said one.
Okay. Well, friends, listen, thank you very much for tuning in. And we've got an awful lot of things to talk about further on downstream. So we'll put together a good program for you next week. And I've got, half again as much stuff here to get to, including some outrages. So we look forward to being with you again real soon. And have a great day.
Enjoy the summer.